I even think like, do you remember when Bang came from Korea to America? I remember seeing certain clips of like it was a EU jungler, also I forgot his name, but he was like telling Bang like just trust what you see, blah blah blah, just play. But that probably was the right thing to say in NA.
Mhm.
But for Bang, who's been playing in Korea for almost all his life, he was a part of a championship, etc. Like the levels of like mind games that the Korean teams would play on each other just to get like one single pick were crazy. So that's why like he's
I
been
see.
conditioned in that level or that environment to play at a very high level still, right?
Mhm.
So unless someone on his team also helps him to check, because he's the ADC, and back then the ADC is like God, basically. Now it's more about the mid laner, but like I said, the environment for pro play is just not as good in NA, and that's why
It's
like
not.
they're not breeding people to be as calculated, and it's more for fun, like people say.
And
It's
not to
more for
think
the clip.
any deeper than at any deeper strategy level than like the Koreans are thinking at, right? Like so when he
Yeah.
comes over, it's like, oh yeah, that makes sense.
Do you have any other examples that you can think of like that, Oscar?
Yeah, I mean, kind of going back and to the whole like NA for fun, right? When also like the Koreans like coming over, like I'll talk more about like the imports that come over and have like really good success or like really bad success. So good success would probably be like Impact, Someday, Core JJ.
Mm-hmm.
Um, right? They when they came in, I mean, they were already like gods, or more so Impact
Yeah.
and Core JJ. I mean,
Okay.
Someday was already good, but
Mm-hmm.
anyways, they had won championships, whatever, um, and learned the English language fairly quickly. Were able
Mm-hmm.
to really good at communicating with their team, as well, right? They brought a lot of value to their team because not only did they bring like a new perspective of like how they did things in Korea,
Mm-hmm.
but maybe they were able to help their teammates understand like their roles better,
Right.
like top lane, whatever role
Yeah.
that they were in. Um, then you have imports that were champions
Mm-hmm.
imported, and they were just complete trash. Well, okay, I don't want to say complete trash, but like it just ended up not working out. So a good example, Piglet, uh,
Mm.
Piglet.
Bang, even Bang, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
cool. Those are really the top two. There's some other ones as well, but those are the
Would
top
you
two that
count
come to mind.
European imports too then, like
Oh,
Blippo,
Europeans as
etc.?
well. Who was the one that was in CLG back in like season three, season four? I think it came from Copenhagen Wolves. I forgot his name
I'm
already, but
forgetting.
yeah, I mean, yeah,
Febivin?
huh?
Is it Febivin?
That's a mid laner. He was
Okay,
from
never mind.
Misfits. He was good, but yeah, he didn't really have much luck in
That's
NA.
a big ego
Yeah,
guy.
I mean, we can kind of talk about that too, but
Yeah.
I'll focus more on the Koreans because I mean
Hmm.
they're generally better. Um, they would come to NA, teams would like give them like a crazy paycheck or whatever,
Hmm.
thinking that like, oh yeah, like we'll bring freaking Bang. He literally just won like a world championship. Same with Piglet, right? Come to NA and then they just can't adapt to like our play style or like our culture as in like how the team functions, right? And you can't really blame them because it's so different on the eastern side of the world, Like the way the teams how do I say like the way like the play style is compared for like a Korean team to American team it's like it's really different. Like the eastern side is very methodical, right? Whereas the
Hmm.
westerners, I mean, again, they try to mimic what they do in like Korea or whatever,
So it's a
but they're
pale
not
Hmm.
good at
imitation,
it.
right? Yeah.
So sometimes it just feels like they're just doing whatever, going at it against each other, trying to skill gap the other laner, right?
Yeah. Do
Um,
you think it's because they by imitating they don't always understand why,
mhm.
and they just see what it looks from surface level, and then
Yeah,
they try to mimic it. But if
for
you
sure.
see like what the Koreans are doing, like there's reason to the madness in a sense, or
Yeah,
even
for sure.
China too. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, and then I think the other part is I forget who it was, but sometimes whenever someone that doesn't speak English is imported, they don't really want to learn the language, or they don't
Mm.
put as much effort to learn the language.
Mhm.
I think Piglet was a good example, actually. Um, he literally just like soloed everything. He tried to like 1v9 and it
Mhm.
just didn't work out. You know, even though he was a good player. I mean, obviously, League of Legends is a 5v5 game. You have to communicate with your team.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Um, and he wasn't very good at that. Um, so yeah, I don't know.
So like basically, if
Go
they
ahead.
get imported and they become like mercenaries versus like integrating into their role and then like elevating their team, right? Or like being
Right.
being a part of it versus like being separate, like I don't know, like fitting in, it has a big measure to their success as well, right?
Hmm.
Mhm.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like the ones that failed probably just came into NA for the paycheck, in my opinion.
I can see
Which is
that.
fair. I mean,
Mercenaries, go get paid, man.
yeah, exactly. Like that's fair. You know, you're gonna make a shit ton of money here compared to anywhere else. But
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, sometimes gameplay wise, it's not gonna work out.
Yeah, it is hard
Yeah.
to. It is hard, and that's again, like I know we sort of discussed this the last time in like team building concepts too, right? But like, there's a lot that goes behind the type of person you are when you like throw them into the mix, right? Like, say
Hmm.
they weren't like a vocal leader in their team, or maybe they thrive in structure. Like some people are like really good when they're told exactly what to do or in exactly what order to do things, versus like being the one to be like, okay, we're doing something wrong, let's fix it in the way that I think makes more sense, right? So say like a person, I don't know, I couldn't tell you, but like say like a Someday or whoever came over or Impact or whoever came over, and they were like, no, let's do it this way, or like they're more vocal leaders, or like they were better at adapting in that sense, where like personality or character trait wise, it made a bigger difference than say maybe I don't know, say like Piglet or whoever came over, like they were more mercenaries, or perhaps they weren't even vocal leaders within their own teams before that, right? It's possible as well. So
Probably. I think Piglet is an example of he was a young talent, and when he came over, he was still super immature too. Because I think I saw
He
like
was immature.
a
Yeah.
documentary and stuff, and like honestly, he reminded me of some of the middle school students that I met. That like I don't know, depending on their upbringing and their own environments, I
gotcha.
guess growing up, he had a lack of it.
So like emotional maturity, would you say, or like
Yeah,
perhaps okay,
both that
Yeah.
and just maturity in
maturity in
general, if I'm
general,
being
yeah.
honest.
And that, I mean that's really
Um,
tough. I mean you're gonna tell somebody to go overseas and go play for a group of
yeah,
people you have no
yeah.
connection to. Like it's like okay, like what, like why am I doing this?
Food's different. Your family's not there. There's all sorts of things, and you're doing that at a young age too. So and he's not as
That's tough.
mature. So it's pretty rough on the kid,
Yeah.
or
Sure.
well, him back then. But obviously, if you're getting paid to be a pro too, you're kind even though you're young, you're still expected
There's.
things. It's like in the NBA, right? When we talk, we've seen a lot of NBA players that sometimes some of those ones that did make it coming out of high school, they don't pan out. Sometimes it's due to injury, but also sometimes they just couldn't fit in
Mm-hmm.
or learn how to be a professional that fast at an early age.
Mm-hmm.
And like I feel like there was some high school, I forget the all of them, but the success stories are like LeBron, KG, Kobe. But then there's also other players
Yeah,
that are
plenty
like
of
more
failures.
middling,
Right.
yeah, or like yeah, or they just don't work out at all. I don't even remember their names now at this point, you know. And that's why the rule that gives them one college year and then they can go be drafted, I think actually helps a lot for them. Just that one extra year lets them mature a little bit.
Are you tilted?
I'm always tilted. Are you tilted?
Man, I'm tilted to the max. I'm always tilted.
Special guest, young Oscar, are you tilted?
Dude, you can see it in my eyes, dude. I'm like ultra tilted all the time.